Okay, my friends, I want to apologize right up front. I put up a video, it's quite long, as this will also be quite long, about new species that we have discovered, the mud fossils, rejected by mainstream academia. Only they are now claiming that they have discovered new species of human beings going back 300,000, 50,000 years ago, whatever. And this is all about scientists claim to have discovered new species of humans. Well, we're trying to get ours DNA tested now. You know, this stuff costs a lot of money. There's no funding here, so it's we're using some of the inexpensive tests to see if they can relate it to a certain area on the world where these came from, if they're human. I don't know if they'll come back as human or not. But I did drill into this one here. Well, I drill into all of them. But this one here, you see, that's where I did it. And I did it quite well, and I'm sure I'm going to explain it again in this video. And I put this video up and went in backwards. I hope it's correct this time. So it was all out of order. It just didn't make any sense at all, and I think it was probably frustrating to watch. So hopefully this will be better. If not, well, what can I say? What I would like you to do is thumb me up now. All right, please do this. And if you don't like it, and I was an idiot, just thumb me down. Okay? All right, I love you all. Thanks. Keep your eye on this. This is quite long. And we're going to do a premiere on this one again. And if you have questions, try to keep them to the point of this presentation, and we'll see if we can answer some questions. This relates to our eternity. I'm not kidding you. This is not silly. This is not just spectacular, which it is, and it's also very, I think, fascinating. But it's, you know, eternity lasts a long time. So if it does impact it, I certainly think you would want to know. Let's take a look. Okay, another shocker du jour supreme. This goes back to Pliny the Elder, who wrote about the natural history of all of the Roman conquests of the areas that they went into, and they found all kinds of animals they never knew about before. And he's writing about how they lived and what they ate and how dangerous they were and what other animals they killed. I mean, details that you can't even imagine about every one of these crazy things. Dog-headed men, other ones with snake coils for legs and feet, and I mean, just on and on and on, the craziest things. And some of them were just, you know, like hippopotamuses and, you know, normal stuff. But he's got unicorns, and he's got dragons, and he's got all of these things from these places where they went to that had these stories, or they actually had the creatures there. Now, I think they're somewhere in the earth and on the earth, and some of them may still be alive. I have no idea. But this was what he wrote at this time, and this goes way back a couple thousand years ago. Now, Pliny and I do exactly the same thing. He wrote about every single thing. He was intrigued by mystery, because everything was new to him then. They were just opening up these expanses. Nobody's ever been there before. So to him, this was like a brand new world. To me, this is a brand new world, because it is new. We have never been able to examine the things in openness and totality, which we are going to do now. This really struck me, because he's talking about defects in opals and the modes of testing them. Now, I have a whole box full of opals here. Somebody sent me these, and I don't know, I can't remember who it was, but I got all kinds of different opals. And we're going to be looking at them in the microscope. I got a whole bag full of scraps. They're nothing you go out and sell or anything, but I mean, there's all kinds of, and I believe it was a woman. I got to be honest with you, I just can't remember. It goes back years. And this one here says, wow. That one's a fire opal. Another fire opal. This one she's saying is fossils, and put all of these in water before you look at them. Anyway, we're going to do that. I mean, I got so much to do. It's just amazing. But listen to what they say about opals, because we're going to do that. But then we're also going to do about all the animals that Pliny found. He didn't just find all the different opals in biology and anatomy, and he found all these crazy animals. Crazy animals. I mean, we don't have them anymore, a lot of them. I don't know what happened to them. They're not here now. I mean, the craziest things. And when you read this goes on and on and on and on forever, his stories about exactly how, look at dog-headed people, other people that never had to eat anything, all they did was breathe some noxious stuff, and dragons all over the place. Crazy things, absolutely crazy. And, of course, we take it as he's just a silly guy. But I do not anymore, not at all. Not whatsoever. And he was getting the first-hand accounts of the first people to come into these territories where these people had these stories. Now everything's been so crushed, nobody has any idea what's real and what isn't. All you can do is look at what you see and make up your own determination. Now, that's up to you. But I'm going to show you, these are an evolution of human feet, or feet that are like humans. You say, that can't be a foot. Oh yeah, wait till I show you the details, my friends. Same with this one, that can't be a foot. Yeah, well, wait till I show you the details on that one too. That one there, you'd say, well, yeah, that's a foot. And then I'm going to show you another one. It's got a double set of springs inside of it. There was a progression of trying to build the perfect foot, it looks like to me. That's got springs. The other one has springs. These, I don't know what's going on. But they're feet. And they died in the Great Flood. You see that flat side right there? How flat that is? Boom. It died just like that. These are the toes. It's heavily siliconized. But right there was where the fibula comes down on the side. And you see that round spot right there? Should be able to see that. See that round spot right there? That was where the bone was. You see it? That's where the bone came down right there. And these are the toes. It's not hard to see once you stop. And that's so flat on that side because it died laying like this. They were all in the Great Flood, and so was this one. And it died on this side. That's why see how browny, slippery it looks? It's because it died just like that. And this one here didn't die on this side. That's a foot. That's a foot. And it didn't die laying flat like this. It died on this side. You see that? That's skin. That is like really rough, tough skin. Oh. And that one, oh no, I'm sorry. It died on this side. All right. Just like that. And the fibula up at the back fell right off. That's where the fibula was right there. That's where it attached right there to the other bone, which rocked in this cradle here. But the top was flat. It looks like as far as I could tell, the top was flat when the guy was alive. And it's got, it's got the arch in it and all that stuff. This is as tough as you can get. This skin is tough, tough, tough. We'll look at it in a microscope. And there's the lichen, which is growing on black blood, which is a vein blood. So you got a bunch of little spots of vein blood that are popping up here and there. There's obviously no toes. Well, I don't know what's inside of it, but it doesn't look like there's any on the outside. And in the front, all of this fabric comes and gathers together, and seals up together right in the front like that. It all comes together and it just overlaps and locks itself together. Isn't that something? And this one has the same thing, only it has like a medallion on it. This is the upgrade where they put a medallion over it. They brought all the stuff in, and then they snapped the medallion right over the top of it, see, to hold it together. This is an upgrade version. And I have the cutest little Noto that you have ever seen. Right there, that's a Noto. And it's quartz now. There's where the fibula was, right there. That's the fibula. The tibia set right up there. And when you see it in a microscope, you'll just be freaked out. You can see where the no-toe seam was here. That's a tiny little no-toe. When you see it, make up your own decision. But I'm telling you right now, I'm literally 100% certain of what I'm saying. All right, and something else you want to consider is where is the toes on these things. This no-toe, by the way, that little hole in there I drilled, I sent it off for DNA, so that's why that hole is there. Right into where the toes would be, there should be a lot of blood in there. And there is. I did a Catalase test and it bowled up like crazy. But you see here, there's no real, you know, usually a foot goes up like this, and you got the big toes, and it comes down. This is just a big round, it's like a big round thing, like a ball at the end. This one still has the sculpture of a normal foot. You see how this one has, the big toes are up here, and the little toes shaved on the side. This one's just totally round. It's totally round. So that's something else to consider. This one's not totally round. This one shaves off like a normal foot. This one here, it does sort of have a big side here and it shaves off. I don't know. I call this the Oompa Loompa. Oh shit. Destroy my screen. All right, well anyway, that's what we're going to be looking at in the microscope. We're checking out all this, well, whatever we can see. And you can see right here, you see this? You see those two spots right there? 3 spots actually. I don't know if you can see that now. That is moss. You see that? It's growing out of the sandstone because that's where the veins and arteries are. And this one, the white stuff, is lichen, which is growing out of the black blood. The red blood makes moss. Anyway, we're going to look deep into this because these are all new species. Pliny had all kinds of things. I mean, absolutely incredible. So I'm saying there's a very highly likelihood that he was right. He wasn't wrong. Okay, my friends. As I said, we've got a whole slew of different types of feet, which are the Notoes. And Pliny talked about all these different crazy, crazy creatures. And there's been documentation of all these things throughout history of, you know, like all these different types of feet and faces, like dog faces, and humans with 4 legs, and the things that I have just, you know, like Quetzalcoatl and Scorbzilla and all of the different things that now have come to light. I think we got to at least examine things that were written by people much closer to the source. We have been totally brainwashed, menticided to say, this is insanity. And if you come across somebody that tells you something like that, treat them like an idiot, because they're an idiot. If they believe this stuff, they're an idiot. And if you believe it, you're an idiot. And primarily, the teachers are going to teach them that because they feel it's their obligation to say, don't go into that. It's insane. And I would have said the same thing too, except I have the evidence. Without the evidence, it is insane as anybody could be. You would be the Mad Hatter of Mad Hatters to even consider it. To even think about it. To even let your mind roam. But somehow my mind I could be that guy. I don't know. To me, it seemed pretty obvious. But anyway, there's just not enough time to go through all the feet today. I have a ton of them. I mean, I have at least minimum 4 or 5. At least 4. 5, I think. The 5th one, and then I have the tiny ones. I have big ones. I have toes that are bigger than. They have toes that are just like, one fingertip was 3 feet long. So this is over the top crazy. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Okay, my outstanding friends, doesn't get any better than this. How fortuitous can it become? I just was getting ready to post my video about the Notoes and the different species of humans that we have found. These are different new springfoot species. I got a Oompa Loompa. I got all, and have a minimum of 4 new humanoid species. And I will show you them in extreme detail in a minute. But this pops up this morning. Scientists discovered DNA of mysterious lineage of hominids in modern humans. Well, I've already had DNA tests done on mine, and they are giants, absolutely monstrous giants, and they had human DNA, just as I believe this one will too. This is one of the Notoes. I drilled a hole deep in here, and I do it meticulously, flawlessly perfect. It's not contaminated. However, it can be retested. I haven't gotten the results yet, but I believe this will show up very close to a hominid. Or it should be a humanish thing, I don't know, but it's got round foot. It is not slanted off to the side like a big toe and running off. It's a big toes in the middle. And this is the fibula, where the big bone comes down. And then the little bone, the tibula, sits on the side, and the two of them together make your foot do all kinds of things. And that's what it looks like. And it has a regular arch just like our feet, but it has a sole built right into it. And I believe these are springs. Now, I am going to show you all my hominid species. They're showing this thing here. Hold on. They're just showing some little scraps of face bones and stuff. And they say, oh, this is a whole brand new deal. Well, yeah, maybe. It could be just like my neighbor down the street. His head's all deformed. I'm just kidding you. He's not... There's nobody around here with a head deformed like that I know of. But they could be. It's just another, this is not something like a giant. This has nothing to do with Notoes. Let me see their feet. Let me see what their feet look like. You know, how big were they? The stuff I have is just absolutely unbelievably gigantic. This right here is a hair follicle. That's a hair follicle. Now, if you've been with me for a while, this is probably about the 1000th time you've seen this, but this is a gigantic hair follicle. That's the hair shaft coming out the top. It's flat-sided, so it's a curly-haired creature. And I don't know if it's human or not. It's just a hair follicle. I don't know what it is. But there's nothing alive today has a hair follicle that big, I can guarantee you that. That right there is where the erector muscle, so your hair stands up on edge. This right here is the shaft, the hair shaft that comes up through the top. This right here is the sebaceous gland with all that gooey stuff that oils the hair. And these two little dots on the bottom is the artery and the vein, the hair papilla. That's a hair follicle. It's 2 inches wide, so do the math. They have nothing to show that's of any significance. It's unbelievable how important all these little scraps are. And I have all of the I have feet, I have hair follicles, I have hearts, I have lungs, I have every single thing you can find. And this stuff is, a lot of it, well, 3 of it is DNA tested now, but I got another dozen that we're doing DNA testing on right now. So, you know, we may have to do more sophisticated DNA testing to see if there's any DNA stuff left in there, but you know, there should be some in there. I'm going to see this one here. I drilled right in there, and I drilled into the heart. I drilled into all of them, lungs and so forth, and sent that off. Now, if it comes back, we don't know what it is. Well, that's one thing. If it comes back and says, well, that's a human, but we don't know where it came from. These are supposed to tell you where this type of DNA originated. It's Asian, or, you know, it's 20% this and 30% that, whatever. Let's find out what they say. But these are discoveries. The other thing is just little scraps of bones here and there, which the bones did not survive the Great Flood. They just didn't make it through. Very, 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 very almost unheard of that you're going to find a bone that goes back to the pre-flood. I have one here somewhere, if I can find it. This one right here is a human bone head. Oh, well, I don't know if it's human or not, but it's the head of a bone. And there's the cartilage and everything. There's where the nerves and the veins and arteries run through. It's a bone that would be like a wrist bone, attached just like that. And the ligament is here, so it can do this kind of stuff. and move like that, but it can't rip away. This is where the bone broke. Now guess what? Right there, you won't be able to see it, but I can see it in a microscope. Maybe you can see it. That right there, hold on, is bone. There is one tiniest taste of bone. Right there. That's about the only bone I have found in my fossils. And it's right there. That's the tiniest little last bit of bone that's left in this. Otherwise, they transition. It's called mudfossilization. They are invaded. It's nucleophilic invasion and nucleosynthesis. What was here before is not here, but what it is still here in form. But the minerals and so forth have been transitioned in and taken over and created a mud fossil. Sometimes they won't create mud fossils. They'll just replace what was in there. I have one here. It's right here. This is just nothing more than meat. It's a chunk of meat. And that's the fascia on it, and that's the fascial lock that locks it into the next body part. I've done my homework. It's time for somebody else to do some. You want to talk about prolific? This Pliny wrote everything you could possibly write. Listen to this. This is hilarious. This is chapter 68. This is all about stones and different minerals and how they're made and what they look like. He's going to Trichorus, Telerosteros, or Mulchtracia, 3 varieties of it, Tephritis, Ticculus, or whatever. Now listen to this. It's a heart, I believe. He's saying Trichorus comes from our Africa. It's black color, but yields 3 different liquids. 3 different liquids. Black at the lower part, blood red in the middle, and an ochre color at the top. Those are the 3 states of blood. Those are right in your heart. This is a heart they're talking about. This thing is of an ashy or russet color, but white at the lower part. Something is like a heart in color and is held in high esteem by the people of Persia, in which country it is found. The name given to it by them is Mur or Tracia. There are 3 varieties: green stone, one of more pallid color, a third with spots like drops of blood, crescent shape with horns like those of a new moon, but it is of ashy color, has an appearance of an olive stone. It's held in no estimation as a gem, but a solution of it will break and expel urinary calculi. It's just amazing the depth he went into. Look at this. These are all different stones. These are all different types of stones. And how to test them. Testing your precious stones. Comparative analysis. Various forms of precious stones. All the way up. This is all just about precious stones. What do I have here? Oh, this is about the opals. And how to test them and how to see the reflections. All about light, how light plays off them. He was just amazing. 6 varieties of this, luxury displayed in crystals, the nature of crystal. It's a diametrically opposite cause to this that produces crystal, a substance which assumes a concrete form from excessive congelation. At all events, crystal is only to be found in places where the winter snow freezes with the greatest intensity. I don't believe that. Crystal's found everywhere. And it is from the certainty that it is a kind of ice. No. See, there's where he's wrong. Now what's this? He's got veins here. What do we got? Veins. Murine vessels come from the east. What's this one? Murine vessels first introduced in Rome, luxury reference. Jewels displayed first, whatever. Most skillful lapidaries. The jewel of Pyrrhus. On and on and on. This guy, the first use of precious stones. And this is just stone and minerals. Okay, my wonderful, outstanding, intelligent friends, we are going to be looking at the statements of Pliny the Elder about all of the different species of creatures that were here way back in the past and how they reported them from all the different cultures. But I'm going to ask you for a favor. Please click the thumb up right now before you forget. If you think I was terrible, click it down at the end. That's all. It's no big deal. But I'm going to be showing all of these different styles of Noto feet. Some of them are spring feet. Some of them are Noto feet. Some of them are this kind of feet and that kind of feet. But they're all feet. All right, so anyway, we're going to be looking at this, and I just drilled a hole in this one here. Oh, you see it? And sent off the stuff to get it tested for DNA. And I did it very carefully. I probably will talk about it later. I did it with all that special and wiped everything down and alcohol and this and that, and tipped it upside down, drilled it from the bottom so nothing fell down on it. And, you know, it was very, very good. There's no contamination, let me put it that way. And we're going to see what it comes back as. It may not come back as anything. But I know there was, I'm absolutely sure there should be some DNA remnants in here. Whether it'll be enough to find out something, who knows. I have 8 tests out right now. And I have 4 more to go after we get these original results and see, you know, if everything's going. If it's just not working, well, then I use them for something else. But we'll find out. And I also have stuff that came from outer space. And one of them, I did submit the one from outer space. And I'm going to see if that, because I think it's human as well. And I can tell you exactly why, because it's a human fingertip. And I have another one, it's a little tiny lung. I don't think it's human because it's very small. But it absolutely is it's a meteorite. It's very magnetic, and it has still red blood in it. It's a bit small, so it didn't completely smelt. But they all have blood in them. It just depends how bad they burn up, how much blood gets left. As I showed you before, or will, I don't think I showed you anything yet. I'm starting right now. There's a black blood, there's a red blood, and a meteorite. So let's get started. Okay, my friends, it just doesn't get any better than this. My friend Tyson from Tyson's Mudfossil Adventures, fabulous site on YouTube with all of these gigantic structures and from, not structures, you know, body parts, just all over the place on the West Coast. And I feel Scorpzilla. I don't know how he feels about that. Sometimes we don't always have the same feeling about what we're seeing, which is okay. But I go for the body parts and the biology and the anatomy and all that little detail and the chemistry and so forth. But at any rate, I've been spouting off about this Gnostic text and understanding and knowledge, and is that the way to heaven? Because what I have read now, it's broken down to the we are made of light. We're made of light, which is just the tiniest particles. I've shown them. We've seen them. We saw these at the same time CERN and Fermilab were seeing those particles. They didn't know what they saw. I know what we saw because it was light. And then everything just started to fall on me about we are made of light. Jesus said we come from the light. We are the children of the light. Then as it kept progressing and progressing, it says if you can rise above the world, you're something about like if you're superior to the world, or let's go with that. If you're superior to the world, and meaning the world as the population of the world, it appears to me now. It's not, people just don't care. So if you're above that, Jesus is going to want you. If you're down in the swamp, you're going to dissolve. Basically, is what it says. Your light particles will go back to do whatever they do. I don't know what's going to happen after that. But if you do seek Jesus, and this is the key, I didn't realize it was so much of a key. And when I got this from Tyson today, it freaked me out. And Tyson, I can't thank you enough, my brother. Okay, my friends, very little freaks me out anymore, but this did today. I've been talking about the world being a carcass and the world being bodies and so forth, or a body, whatever. And I've been on the fence whether they meant the world as the earth itself or the world as the population of the earth. And now I feel literally certain they're talking about being above the world, meaning above the population of the earth, who just doesn't care. They just don't care. That's what I found. And listen to what it says here. Number 56. Jesus said, whoever has come to know the world has discovered a carcass. Knowing the world is to know the people of the world, the population, the rulers, the academics, the people in charge. That's the world now I'm feeling. Originally I thought it was the earth is a carcass, because it is. The earth is nothing more than dead stuff. The carcasses maybe around a big carcass, I don't really know, but I can tell you one thing, there is nothing but biology, so we can get long past that. So he says, whoever has found the world has discovered a carcass, and whoever has discovered a carcass of that person, the world is not worthy. And I said, wow. Not just me, it's of that person doesn't mean of that one person. It means if you discover, we're living among people that just, they're carcasses, they're dead. All they want to do is exist. Basically, they're not here to learn. They're not here to, well, yeah, you know, this is a hard subject to talk about. Let's just go with the fact that you have to seek Jesus, it appears. Maybe he doesn't care if you learn or not. I don't know. I thought he was here to teach us, to learn and search, and if we don't do that, then we dissolve. If we do that, we ascend. That's the way I took the Gospel of Philip. Now, is that true? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But let's see what Jesus says about who he wants to come with him. And this is what Tyson sent to me, and thank you, Tyson. I appreciate that. All right, the two books we're going to talk about this is the book of knowledge, or the book of truth. And it says the Father is going to be calling those who have knowledge. All right, the Father's Son is Jesus of utmost sweetness, his wisdom, contemplation. This gets quite long, and you're defective when you don't have knowledge. You're defective because you can't, it's like having a computer that it doesn't know how to work. Because we're nothing more than computers. I'm going to tell you that right now. The living book in the heart of little children. Jesus, a quiet guide. This is deep, deep stuff. Jesus is the fruit of knowledge. It's all about knowledge and light. It's all about light and knowledge. Now this is the gospel of truth. In the Nag Hammadi, there were stacks of these texts. And so now the Gospel of Thomas, which I just did, was about whoever has come to know the world to discover the carcass. Now, and if you realize we're among zombies, basically. Of that person, the world is not worthy. Now, Jesus wants that person that is with him, and he realized the world is a carcass. I'll show you that in a second, because that's what he's saying. The world is a carcass. And if you come to realize it too, come on, you come with me. That's the way I'm seeing it. And he said the same thing about light that I'm saying. Jesus said, if they say to you, where have you come from? Say to them, we have come from the light, from the place where the light came into being by itself. And it established itself and appeared in their image. If they say to you, is it you? Say, we are its children. So we're the children of the light, and we are the chosen ones of the living Father. Because there's light everywhere. But we are the ones that are alive, and I think if you keep thinking and advancing, you ascend and you don't dissolve. All right? And that's the two things. You can have motion or you can have rest. If you're thinking, you're motion. Motion is energy. Motion is pushing, shoving, thinking, doing things, creation. Rest is just the thing that he doesn't want. It's when you don't think. When will the rest for the dead take place? When will the new world come? He said to them, what you're looking for to has come, but you do not know it. Anyway, it goes on and on and then 80, I think it's 80, 80, is it 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, yes. The same thing it says here. Jesus said, whoever has come to know the world has discovered the body. Now, that is a little tricky to understand for me, but whoever has discovered the body, of that one the world is not worthy. That's the key that I'm looking at. Of that one the world is not worthy. If you understand that we're looking at bodies and body parts and creatures, and this is not just rocks. And even Jesus said, if they tell me to shut up, the rocks will cry out, and they are screaming. And I have been given authority by Jesus to introduce this stuff to you, and this is why I believe the thing that Tyson sent me says that. Because I know I've been given messages. I just didn't know. I mean, trust me, I'm nothing special. I'm the last person that should have been selected to do this, other than the fact that I could do it. I'm not working. Anyway, let me show you what he sent me, because it's knocked my socks right off. Okay, my friends, this is not meant to put anybody down or anything. But this is it's called Tectonic City. Now, it's a rock identification show, and they're having all kinds of, it's got number 12, number 2, number 11, number 7, and obviously they're going up the line. This is number 12. Now, he's showing a meteorite he bought on eBay. That's a slice of a meteorite. You see all those little crystals? That's because it melted and then it congeals back together, and they sort of find each other and crystallize into these patterns. And then when they slice it, I believe they probably etched it with acid to bring out this pattern. And he's looking at it saying, this is obviously, they call it iron meteorite. It's not. These are all different metals. Now I'm going to show you something I'd like him to explain about a meteorite. All right, they're trying to decide whether this is a meteorite, and it's not. And it's a heart, and so is this. And you see that seam breaking open there? That's what they do. They break open based on the blood that's in them. They split. And it just happens. It's called iron banding. And that's going to happen too. And you look at it, and it looks just like a heart. Now, this had entry here and an entry there. You see? And the blood runs down in here. Now, because it laid sideways, the blood, made it fracture this way. If it had laid this way, it would be a different story. It would fracture right at the plumbing line where the tubes went in. So it would fracture right about in this area. But because the blood was laying down this way, you got the red and the black layered and banding. It's totally different. This way here, it would have been just a bucket of blood down here, the red, and the black would have been up above. But they push each other apart. And I have other shots I can show of all this. But anyway, they're trying to say this is a rock, and they're going to go cut it and so forth. And it really, this is under the UV light. They're probably seeing phosphates under there. I'm not sure. Let me see what they do see. Hold on. All right, here's the rock I said was a heart. It says Ronnie's rock under UV light. That's ultraviolet light. It says we do have some fluorescent lights, but I think the next step to do, fluorescent, that's not. Ultraviolet is what you need. They say we do have some fluorescence from, I don't know why that, fluorescent is totally different. You need ultraviolet, and that's what you got here, is this white. All right, and there's the heart valve. And these, you see them coming down in here? There's the center of the heart valve. And squirts in and shuts off, squirts in and shuts off, squirts in and shuts off. That's how they work. Other than what, that's just a heart. And here's the other one right up here. They're right next to each other. It should be visible. You see the one above it? It's just nothing more than a heart. And these were, you see, well, let me just show you what ultraviolet does light up. I think I told you, maybe I didn't. The different tissue types, all this stuff is the collagen, keragens, which are the connective tissues. That's what's lighting up in here. I have them all over my mud fossils. I see them all the time. All right, when he talked about fluorescent lights, that was just a mistake he did, I'm sure by accident. So, but under ultraviolet light, whole different spectrum, way more powerful. Certain body tissues and substances can exhibit fluorescence, which is the lower light given off. So they're absorbing the higher light and giving off the lower light, and they glow. But the effect is often subtle, not visible under normal conditions. But if you have a good ultraviolet light, it'll glow pretty good. So here are some examples of body tissues or components that can glow under ultraviolet light. Collagen, skin, tendons, ligaments. That's what's in the valves. Bone. All of these body tissues. Keratin, hair and skin, teeth. Urine, nails, blood, certain components in the blood. Bile. What he was just looking at was in our heart. But he was looking at these heart valves. All right, there's no water on this yet, so, and I haven't put water on it, so I don't know if it's going to really pop or not. But this right here is the edge, right around here, and this crosses the valve. This is the heart valve, right around this circle right here. And there's this and this, I think, have something to do working with that valve. And there's more over here, a similar setup. But this is the center. Now I'm going to put a little water on it and see what happens. I'm way off. Boy, I tell you, put water on it, it just feels slippery as can be. Look at that suck the water up. How quick that sucked that up, huh? But this is, that right there is the center. This whole area here is, back it up here a little bit. Well, I tell you, this is going to be very hard for you to see, but basically that right there is the center. Let me come way up. Maybe that'll help, maybe it won't. Huh. I think they're both here. There's one here, and the one next to it is right up above her. You see that one? You see these ridges around it? Now I'm going to come down on that. These are both, I think there's another one here. Yes, this is the other one. It's hard to see these things, but this is the edge of the vein valve. Now let me move it over, and we're going to come down a little closer because I think I can see the little bits that we want to see to show that it is the edge, and I'm seeing them. Now let me home it in. Right there. And this is the vein valve. Now this is the ribbing around the outside of the valve. Now watch that sucker pull that water in. I'm going to crank up the light. see how it's like overlapping right in this area? This is the valve right there. I'm very, very sure of that. And we could do a catalase test on this. Probably should, just for kicks. Let me get right to the heart of the matter. Now, right there. Let's get down to the heart of the matter, right there. Now, we're going to do a catalase test on that, but let's get right down on to it. Because you got to really be up close to see the catalase reaction. I got to turn the lights down. We're in this valve area somewhere. There's a split in here where it does its valve thing, however that works. Let me turn that light down again. We're going to be right on top of it. Now, what I'm going to do, let's look at the architecture first, under a very subdued light. That's where you can see the best. This is serious biology there. That's a strap or a crack or a split or a valve or whatever. Now, let's look around at the edges here. You see these? And that comes over, and then it drops right off. It drops right down into the valve. Now let's back up out of the valve, put down into it. All right, now we're down in the valve where the valve is. And way back up here, see now it gets cloudy again because we're way up higher, which is outside of the heart, the fabric of the heart, the little heart muscles and so forth. Now, so now we're down inside the actual valve. I'm going to put some catalase, some hydrogen peroxide on there. It's only 3%. I'm going to put a little splash on there. Hold on. And we should see a very strong catalase reaction, I would assume. But you know, I've been wrong before. So hold on, I'm going to move this out of the way. We're going to put a little splash of catalase on there. Now look at it go. Look at it go. Look at it go. Look at that. You don't get them any better than that. That, my friends, is as good as it gets. Let's go right down on top of this. Ooh, this is exciting. Look at that stuff go. That's from an enzyme that's in your body tissues, your blood. It's called catalase. And what it does is it breaks off one of the oxygens off of what is called H2O2. And it turns it into water, H2O. It's all done. It's so much catalase there that it wiped all that out that quick. I'm going to do it again because there'll be more. There'll be plenty more. All right, I'm going to wipe it down and get it semi-dry. All right, so now we're back over here looking at it. All right, this is the area. That's right there. That's the center of the valve. And it's just saturated with blood, absolutely saturated. You see it? All right, now I'm going to move out of the way, and we're going to put a little more catalase, hydrogen peroxide on there. and come back and look at that, and it should be bubbling like crazy again. And it knocked it down so quick. I'm just shocked how fast it knocked it down there. This thing is saturated with catalase. There it goes again. Look at it go. And it'll knock it all down almost instantly. Look at that stuff bubble. Look at how fast it's taken that hydrogen peroxide down to water. Every one of those little tiny bubbles is cleaved off an oxygen atom, literally an oxygen atom. Because this is H2O2. That means H2O is water, H2, which two of them, and one O. Well, this is H2 and two O's. And we don't want that extra O. That's called reactive oxygen species. Just kill it all. Otherwise it invades and kills your tissue. That stuff lasts forever, basically. Everything I found, even a meteorite coming through space, has that catalase in it too. Because it's biology too. There's nothing that isn't biology. That is just stunningly fast reaction. Alright, you're probably not going to really see this unless you got good Mudfossil eyes. This right here is basically, I believe, the center. And if we move this out to the edge of the crater, right there is the edge. Now I have to bring it back up. Whoops. All right, this is the edge. Oops, my light went out. All right, we're going to look at Pliny's animals, but before we do, what you have to understand is I showed you a heart, and this is a heart, and that's where the valves were, and it was laying this way, and that's why we have this iron banding where the black and the red are separating in bands. You see that black and the red, they push each other apart, and it just cracks all by itself. I didn't do that. That just happens. It's called iron banding. And it's just the heart that does this. Now, other hearts don't do that. These were hearts that I just cut up, see what was inside, you know. And some little areas fill up with silicates where there is no real blood, and some areas have just saturated with blood. Now, other hearts, like this one here, this is a heart. That's the aorta. Right there is the ventricle wall, that heavy dense spot. This is a little bit of extra blood where there was some of the other plumbing was up here. All right, now normally that plumbing comes right off, right down to that, and you end up with this, and it snaps right off, and it snaps off because there's a layer of banding, just like what caused this thing to split. There's a layer of banding, a black and a red layer. As a matter of fact, I think I might have a shot of it. Hold on. Yes, here it is. This is the heart right here. You see, you got that big jobber there. Now, you got a red and in mud fossils it would be black, but it's vein and artery. And they lay right against each other, right underneath here, all the way around. They wrap right around, and when they separate and push each other apart, it just snaps right apart. So you almost never find them like this. The only reason this one stayed intact is that all of the blood went away. If that blood was still in here, it would be pushing each other apart, and this would have snapped open. That's what happens to them. I don't think I've ever found one that had plumbing on it other than this. A friend of mine found one that had plumbing on it, but he could see the red blood coming right out of there. Hold on a second. I think I might have a shot of that too. Here it is right here. This is Phil's heart. And like I just told you, the bucket of blood is on the bottom. So he's looking at this right here. All right? Because he saw a spot of red blood coming out the side. The heart was complete when he saw it. Now, Phil died, unfortunately, but, you know, this is what I have. This is all I have, this and another couple of pictures. But you can see the outside heart muscle around the outside. And inside was the blood. This one completely displaced all the blood that's inside. Otherwise, it wouldn't be complete. Now, so he sees the red spot, snap. He hits it with a hammer. It just opens right up. And you got your red, you got your black, and you got your plasma blood, you know, the three states of oxygenation of the blood. Now, the other side of it that came off has the actual plumbing, the tubes. And you can actually see the tubes. And here they are right here. That was like here on top of here. And it's just like you took this heart and opened it up and we're looking out the tubes coming out through here. All right, so this would be this snapped off. And the bottom part would be this. And that's because he just saw the red spot. And again, it's just cracked right on that seam. It's a seam that just opens right up. He said he didn't hit it hard. He just tapped it and it popped open. And he's freaked out. He saw the red blood in there. Actual red blood. That's not just red paint or something. Or he painted it. No, he didn't paint it. Trust me, he did not paint it. So, I know it's very hard for people to believe this stuff or to let their mind open up. I'm going to tell you what else. Meteorites have it too. I told you this heart Bennu is asteroid Bennu is a heart. It's saturated with blood. They came back with muscle. All right, now let me show you something else. This is a meteorite here that came through space and hit Earth. It's got blood in it. It's got the black blood, it's got the red blood. That's not nothing. That's red blood. You see? That was probably a liver. I don't think it was a heart or a lung because there's just not enough. It just doesn't strike me that way. It could be a heart, but I don't think it's a lung. A lung would have much more cavities as this gigantic one does. Hold on. This one right here, you see that? That's a Willamette meteorite. It's absolutely enormous. They had kids sitting inside these little things when they first took it from the Indians. They took it, there was a sacred thing, and they took it. Right there's red blood in that one. There's red blood right there. Right there. There's a lung. You see that little red spot right there? It's not there for nothing. My lung has the same thing. Not my lung in my body, although it does, but my lung, this lung, has the same hole. Right there. Somewhere around there. No, right there. There it is. You see? Basically it's similar. Through space and it cooked off. Now this one just leaked out on the Earth, but this is a lung, and so is that. And that's why they're saturated with blood. The lungs are just, blood is the metals. It's all metals basically in blood. The rest is just stuff that boils off. And then you end up with smelted metal. Now when they take it out of the Earth, it's called hematite and magnetite and geotite and something else. They have a whole bunch of names for it, but it's basically, it's different states of of blood, of the oxygenated versus deoxygenated blood. Plus, I'm sure there's other chemistry in that blood because of vein versus artery. I'm not sure of that. But I know there's absolutely different chemistry when you go into the lymph. It's an extremely different fluid, which contains a lot of enzymes, which we saw that foaming up stuff, that's all an enzyme. That's basically from the lymph, which, the membranes. Let's just say it's from the membranes, because the membranes keep the extra oxygen from coming in. They're the protective layer. So even on red blood cells and everything, they have membranes. They cannot be penetrated by that extra oxygen. And they're loaded with catalase. Even plants have it, catalase. Anything that lives does not want that extra oxygen. I got to be honest with you. I don't fully understand it, but it's deadly. All right, my friends, this goes back to pre-flood, so there was all kinds of crazy stuff. Nobody knows what was here. Pliny claims that the ancient tales were about dragons attacking elephants and killing them, and just all of this stuff that I've been showing. So my contention is there's no reason we shouldn't have all these different feet from different experiments that they were doing with humanity when they were here doing these experiments. And this was like, we had Notoes, a whole variety of them, and we're going to be looking at them in the microscope and all that stuff. And I'm trying to get some. Well, I did a DNA test on this one. I haven't gotten the results back, but I drilled a hole right there in where there should be some very good red blood cells, and that's all you need is the cells. And it was done very, very carefully. I didn't touch the gloves and mask and think of it all, the whole 9 yards. And I did it upside down, like this, over, and put something underneath it. You see that? I did like this. I came way over the edge here and put something way under here, the paper. And I drilled right up under there. After, of course, obviously having it very clean. And it came all out, and I didn't touch it, doing anything with it. I just tapped it like that, and I put the swab right in very carefully, right in the center, pulled it out in the bag, out it went. I don't know what's going to happen, whether it's human or not. I would say it's probably going to have some humanity to it. But you see, there's the bone. Pretty obvious if you just take a second and look at it. There's a bone right there, and the rock's in this cradle. All right, this is where the fibula sits. That's the tibia. The fibula sits right there. It comes up. Now on your foot you have the same thing. You have like a ridge here, and this whole area has to wrinkle up. This here, when the guy steps, there's no toes in here. It's just one big chunk. So the whole thing has to move, and it moves on this hinge. That's why it's all that. It's got that crease in there. It's got a hinge, and it moves up this way. So it has to wrinkle up this way too. All right, if you look at the details, things are very easy to understand. And this is the thickness of the skin. You see how thick that skin is? And this has springs, I think, of a different style than the other one we have with springs. I believe this right here, that's circle. You see that circle? I'm not sure how the springs work, to be perfectly honest with you, but this is my guess. All right, now, that right there, that circle right there, I believe is the pin. And this right here is the roller rocker that hits first, and that comes back and hits against this sole plate, which will not move. So if this comes up, it's going to And if this is springy, it'll come out and it'll try to return. Now look at how exactly similar this is to that. You see the two of them? And what's coming out of this one? Another one of these rockers. Springs. I think they're springs. And when this came up, it would push this up. So you got a seam here, because this one normally you're going to be walking, it's going to be doing this, and no big deal. But when you're running and it hits real hard, this is going to push this up. So you got one loading up and the next one's loading up on top of it. You get a pretty good stride, and it's springy. It's a spring. And the other one is a double loaded spring. I think it's even better, but I don't know. It's got this sole built right into it. And you got the heel, calcaneal spot right there. There's the arch of the foot. And that's where it hits on the front. And you can see where the guy was hitting here and here. And this is the heavy duty fabric that wraps the whole thing. And then, whoops. Sorry about that. Let me come back to this here. That's the heel. Alright, and it's very hard, and it hit right here. This is where the hardness is. Now it's got the regular arch, just like everybody's foot normally. And this is all wrinkly, and it wrinkles right in the middle a lot, so you got this type of stuff. Now at the front you've got the same bumps here. This one hits and this one hits over here. And it's pretty much like the front of anybody's foot. Alright. So that's what it is. And this one here is one. This style here I don't think is the same. I don't think this is the same as that one. I don't see any sole on it. It's die laying on its side, this side here, I would say. Well, I'm certain of it. And that's why this is all scuffy like. And the other side, when they're flat and slippery almost. Sometimes they're really like slippery. And this one here has a little bit of that. Some of them are like almost slimy. Because they were in the mud, and when they came out of the mud, one side was gooey and the other side, well, this one here is pretty obvious. You see how scruffy and like that's about hard type of sandpaper as you can get. And this side here is just flat and pretty smooth. And there's the mud, or it's actually the skin, but if you peeled that off, you'd get right down to that really scruffy, heavy duty, you know, quartzite stuff. It's heavy with the silicon has invaded it, which made it into sandstone. But it was, at one time, biological tissue, just as this was. Caesar was a goose, and these are feathers. But feathers are collagens, keragens, that type of stuff. Elastins, and that's his feather pattern. And there's his eyeball, his little bill, or whatever they call that, his nose hole. And if you hold it just right, you can see where the neck architecture is. It's not hard to see. That's where the artery was, and I did Catalase on that. And this side is where the vein is. You can't see it well. Veins plug up because they don't have, you see how the arteries, they have holes. I did drill that, but they do have holes, and the blood runs out, so you end up with holes. The artery side, the blood doesn't run out because they have clamps. So anyway, that's him. And he died in the flood too. That's why this side is flat. But you can actually see where his throat was. You see that? So this died in the flood too. That's just a normal sized goose. I don't think that's anything exceptional size. Do you? I would say that's a pretty fairly normal sized goose. Maybe a little big. My friend Caesar Augustus. And I think it's a goose, I don't know. Because I've asked, I don't know if they have that feather pattern on their head though. You see the feathers coming out this way? And then the big flappy thing coming down the back of his head. I don't know what. You know, you got any avian people out there can help out to identify a lost goose, Caesar Augustus. All right. Anyway, that's crazy stuff. But again, I am going back to all the ancient texts to see what they had to say, and I think I have come up with a pretty good understanding of what our history was, and there is a way to get to eternity. But you're never going to find it if you don't seek for it. And once you do find it, you're going to be disturbed, you're going to be troubled, you're going to marvel, and then you will ascend. You won't disintegrate. It's the way I'm finding it now. And I've done as much research on this as anybody probably breathing oxygen at this point in the world. Either you go and ascend as a complete creature like you are now, only enlightened and welcomed by Jesus into the heavenly realm, or you disintegrate into particles of light. And whatever happens to you, I don't know. The things that I read and heard, it's not good. You're basically going to the dark side. When you go to the white side, it means you're enlightened, you're knowledgeable. You rip that white off of the black and you let the black go on its own. That's the material realm. The black is the only thing that has weight. The black is the only thing that has weight. That is the material realm. You take the white off, it has no weight, it has all the energy. It has all the energy, it has all the majestic energy that you could possibly imagine. It has no weight, it has no mass, it has no matter. It is not the material world. And we will at some point not be part of the material world. What's left of us will be, but hopefully your spirit will go somewhere else. Now, where is it going to go? Well, that's up to you, how you handle your life, I think, at this point. You know, this was just going to be about the Notoes and all the different species, relating it to Pliny. And I think I have done that just enough to satisfy somebody's curiosities. But to go deeper, we need to get into the texts. And the texts are the Gnostic texts that we're looking at right now. Pretty much most people understand the biblical accounts. If you're deep into it, I know all about this, I read this and I read that. Well, excellent. That's fabulous, basically, because this stuff most people have not read. These are the Gnostics, and this one is the gospel of truth. And it basically, if you tell the truth and you are truthful, you get into heaven. That's what it basically boils down to. Because the Father says, I have no greater joy than to see my children walk in truth. And Christ said, that's what I want, is what my Father wants. And I want those people to come with me. The rest, out you go. That's the way I'm taking it. And the Gospel of Thomas, this is the other one, that's extremely relevant right now about how do you get into heaven. You have to realize that the earth, I mean not the earth itself, the people, the population, it's a corpse. They have no direction, no guidance, no life. They're living corpses. And you have to rise above that, and then you become superior to that. And he says that in number 56. First of all, he says to search and to keep searching. Seek until you find. Don't stop seeking. Do not stop seeking until you find. When you find, you will be disturbed, and when you are disturbed, you will marvel. And you'll reign over all, because you're above them, because they're all idiots. Basically, that's it, if you want to be unkind about it, which at this point I've become a little bit unkind. Jesus said, number 56, whoever's come to know the world, which is the population basically, or the authorities, the governance, the world in its total. When you decide and you understand the world, you discover it's a carcass. It's just nothing. It's just empty. And whoever has discovered the carcass of that person, the world, is not worthy, which means you are above the world. Now, and it's not just one person. It doesn't mean just because I believe this, I'm the only one that gets to be saved. No, obviously. If you understand, you are not of this world. This is what Tyson sent me today. He says, something beautiful. It says, the ones I want are the ones that are not of this world. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am absolutely not of this world. No. I have no molecules left in me that belong to this world of material existence. We are eventually going to leave these material bodies. No question about it. And the material is the dark matter. The energy is the white matter. It has no mass to it. Nothing. But it's got all the energy. That, to me, is the spirit. And that's where I'm going. And Jesus says it right here in number 50. We are the light. We are children of the light. If they say, where have you come from? We have come from the light. We are from the place where the light came into being. If they say, what are its children? If they say to you, is it you? Say, we are its children. We are the chosen of the living Father. We are the children of the living Father. We are the light. And not all light gets chosen. We have a spectacular chance to reach eternity as a creature, I believe, and to live with Jesus Christ in a heavenly mansion somewhere. If you do, and you understand, he's the one that came here to warn us and to say this stuff is real. I have been given you by my Father. I own you. I want you back. But he's taken you. I'm going to show you, I will endure the most excruciating pain to show you that I'm real, and you better come back with me or you're on your own. That's the way I'm seeing it. They give you one chance. And once you realize that this is not a joke, this is real, he is the guy, and he's telling the truth, he's as advertised, and if you don't do what you're going to do, eternity lasts a very long time. It's like eternal. That means it doesn't ever stop. So, I'm going with the fact that Jesus is advertised. He came down, he said, I'm here to save you. I don't know what powers God has against the dark powers, if they're so, I mean, I don't know how God could fight the dark powers, other than to do it in a loving way, as Jesus did. He came down, he said, I'm a loving, peaceful creature, and I want you with me in that way. I will not blow everybody away. Like my brother says, really, when he started nailing them on the cross, he should have just gone zzz, and they all vaporized. I said, well, that's not his way. You can't do that because you're being attacked. Somehow you got to get past that. And the world is so bad now. There's so many people being attacked that they haven't even no way to even fight back, first of all. Secondly, fighting back just keeps them getting more fighting. You know, I just don't know anymore how to. I'm just looking forward to meeting Jesus Christ and having done the work I had to do here to figure it out. I figured this out, but I followed the messages. I didn't disregard anything, nothing. When I got the message, says, go look in the woods. I told my wife something calling my name. I went out, I looked, I found giant mud fossils of human beings, which showed to me that something was right about what they had said in the past about God or whatever. So nobody would pay any attention. So I did all the work, the CAT scans, the DNA tests. I've been working on this for day and night for 15 years, almost. So I never abandoned it, but I felt like I just, well, first of all, I got the message that said these things are for you to see and for others as a test. And that's just right when I started typing in about the giants. I thought it must have been, I must have hit some website that was saying, you know, that. And it wasn't. It just went away and never came back. These things are for you to see and for others as a test. And I said, whoa. And I tried to give everybody, I said, geez, let me show you this. Let me show you. No, you're an insane person. And I mean, it got extremely contentious. You know, if you want to put up for yourself, you better put up and be able to take some slings and arrows, because I'm telling you, they came hot and heavy. But, you know, this was a test. These things are for you to see and for others as a test. Now, if this is really God, and he says, go look in the woods, I find this, and then he says, these things are for you to see and for others as a test. Well, I'm taking that serious. So I'm seeing nobody passed the test. Virtually nobody. I mean, zero. And at a point, about 2015 or so, 2014, I'm depressed. I'm in an absolute state of despair because I can't get anybody paying attention. I'm being told I'm an idiot. I should go get help. Even people in my own family said, you know, you can go to the Veterans Administration, they'll help you, they deal with people with PTSD. I said, oh, that was in Alaska. You know, anyway, it was very, very distressing. Now, people have come around now, and they're going to have to, because it's true. But at any rate, nobody would pass the test. So I'm in despair, I'm sitting here, and I'm literally, I have been looking into Atlantis as the eye of the Sahara, which it is. And I was just basically almost out loud saying to God, I can't do this. They're never going to listen. I can't do it. It's never going to happen. You got the wrong guy. You better find somebody else. I have no voice. They won't let me speak. And I'm not good at this interaction with all this new stuff anyway. And I heard a message, I heard a voice, an actual literal voice, and I'm telling you, this is a fact. It said, look in Morocco. And when I went and I looked in Morocco, you know what I found in Morocco? Well, I found typhon. But the key to this whole thing is, hold on, I gotta get back to it. I had been looking at Atlantis for years, for 2 years at least. Right down here looking at this, studying this whole thing and the draining of the Sahara and how it came out and washed out over here and how it related to exactly what Plato said and how it created the Cape Verde Islands and how there was a straits here. And I actually wrote a book on it. And then I heard look in Morocco, and I just said, well, I'll look in Morocco. I'm not kidding you, this is just a fact. And I popped up here, I said, holy smokes, there's a fish and a dragon. Instantaneous, I saw it. But like I said, I've been looking at this for years. I wrote the book on it here, right there, back in 2015. Atlantis and the draining of the Sahara. And at this point, I don't know if I knew about the dragon at this point. I can't remember. But it was either that or shortly thereafter I found out about the dragon. But I did, like I say, for a couple of years, blind to what cannot be missed once you see. And once you see, you cannot unsee. All right, that a person that can unsee is, there's just nobody that exists, I believe, that can see and then unsee. There may be people that see and then convince themselves that it just can't be. It's just, and they will. Those people are mental-sided. They're brainwashed to a point that they can't think for themselves. And they'll say, no, it's not peer-reviewed. It can't be real, it's not peer-reviewed. That's the kind of mentality we have in the educational system now. It all got to change very, very desperately, very fast. And we're hoping that will happen very soon when my friend Donald Trump and Elon Musk take control, and hopefully we can get some efficiency. We get some understanding. We get some use out of the little toys they built to look off into the universe. But light slows down. It's not everything is expanding crazy. Light slows down as it comes. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that for today. Thank you, my good friends, and it's just going to keep going and going and going. I think we're getting somewhere. I'm starting to get a lot of more subscriptions. I need some thumbs up. I really, really need some thumbs up. If you can thumb up, that would be good. All right? I appreciate it. Thank you. I love you all.